Hello, my name is Laura Rodriguez and I am Manager Implementation and Quality Assurance for Cargo IQ. Welcome to Cargo IQ, the route map. In this video, we will explain what a route map is and what it is used for. Then we will look at the difference between an event, a milestone, a status update, and a KPI. We will discuss service commitments versus the operational milestones. We will look at the role of the forwarder, the carrier, and the GHA in the air-to-air process. And finally, the GHA's import, transit, and export processes. To allow for planning and control of shipments, we create route maps. Route maps are a plan for the step-by-step delivery of an air cargo shipment. Route maps are created by forwarders and by carriers. Forwarders create route maps from the shipper to the origin airport. Carriers then plan a route map from the origin airport to the destination airport, which we call airport-to-airport route map. And then forwarders again create a route map for the final leg of the shipment from the destination airport to the consignee. In the slide, the milestones in the forwarder route map, which we call door-to-door, are marked in gray, and the milestones in the airport-to-airport route map are marked in blue. Let's look at the milestones one by one. The first milestone in the door-to-door route map is pickup or PUP. This is the moment where the forwarder picks up the shipment from the shipper. Next is REW or received export warehouse, and this is when the shipment comes into the forwarder's export warehouse. It then leaves the export warehouse with DEW. Next, it goes into the export hub of the forwarder, REH. It leaves the export hub, DEH, and then the electronic freight waybill information is sent from the forwarder to the carrier. And now the airport-to-airport route map begins with freight on hand or FOH. This is the moment where the forwarder tenders the shipment to the carrier at origin. Next, the ready for carriage checks are performed and RCS is completed. Next, the freight is tendered from the warehouse operator to the ramp with FOW. The flight departs from the origin airport. It then arrives at the destination airport with ARR. It will then go into warehouse control with FIW. Now the checks for received cargo from flight are performed, RCF. And then the consignee is notified for pickup at destination, NFD. And finally, when the consignee picks up the shipment, it is DLV, delivered at destination airport. Now we go back to the door-to-door route map with received into the import hub at destination, RIH. Next, it departs the import hub, DIH. It will go into the import warehouse, REW. It will then be out for delivery, OFD. If a third party picks up the shipment on behalf of the consignee, TPN takes place. And finally, when the consignee receives the shipment, proof of delivery or POD happens. Now that we have seen all the three-letter codes that can compose a route map, we should understand the different meanings that those three-letter codes can have. In the previous slide, the three-letter codes represented milestones because they represented the planned events in the route map. However, we use these same three-letter codes for other purposes too. We can refer to them as events. An event is something that actually happens to the shipment. For example, PUP marks the pickup of the shipment, where the event is the introduction of the shipment into a truck. But PUP can also be a milestone. A milestone is a target time when the event is expected or planned to happen. PUP could be a milestone, meaning that the pickup is supposed to happen at 3 o'clock on a specific date, for example. Another example of a milestone is LAT, or latest acceptance time, which is the planned time for the shipment to be tendered to the carrier at origin. In this case, freight on hand, or FOH, is the event that marks the completeness of LAT, the milestone. Status update is the information exchange about the event taking place. In our example, a status update would be information telling someone that the PUP has happened at 3 p.m. as planned. In our industry, it is common to use messages for status updates, but it could also be any other means of communication. Finally, a KPI is the evaluation of some objective or target. Within Cargo IQ, we have KPIs for milestones, which tell us if an event happened at its planned time or not. So a KPI is the difference between what was supposed to happen and what actually happened. In our example, the KPI would show that PUP happened as planned. KPIs can be used for many different metrics, not just on-time performance. For example, precise planning, evaluation on the state of the shipment, etc. These milestones that are planned in the roadmap represent different commitments within the supply chain. Some of them represent the commitment between the carrier and the forwarder. Often, they are linked to the departure and arrival times of a flight. If you tender the shipment between a certain time, an airline can commit to making it available at a specific time. However, this also involves the ground handling processes, since all of those need to happen according to plan in order for the carrier to be able to fulfill its promise to the forwarder. The commitments by the ground handlers to the carriers are often described in SLAs and products. We often refer to the ground handler processes as operational milestones because they depend on the time that it takes to operationally complete those events, whereas the commitments between the carrier and the forwarder are often service commitments because they can be defined by the product that the carrier wants to offer. The ground handling processes can be split in three. The export process goes from FOH to departure at origin. The import process goes from arrival to delivery to the consignee, or DLV. And the transit process goes from the moment the shipment arrives in the transit station to the moment it leaves again on another flight. This often includes putting the shipment in a warehouse, marked by FIW, or freight into warehouse, and then leaving again, marked by FOW, freight out of warehouse. The main takeaways of this video are: what is a roadmap and what is it used for? The difference between an event, a milestone, a status update, and a KPI. The service commitments versus the operational milestones. The role of the forwarder, the carrier, and the GHA in the airport-to-airport roadmap. And finally, GHA's import, transit, and export processes. Thank you for listening.